It was a bright, sunny morning when the strange object appeared in the sky. People everywhere were going about their daily routines, shopping, working, taking care of the kids when a sudden, sharp buzz in the air caught everyone's attention. At first, it seemed like a trick of the wind, maybe a distant airplane, or just another strange cloud formation. But no one could ignore the feeling that something was terribly wrong in the city square. Alex, a young scientist, was sitting at a cafe sipping his coffee when he looked up. His heart skipped a beat. Above him, a giant silver disc was hovering in the sky, casting an eerie shadow on the ground below. It wasn't like anything he had ever seen before. The object was enormous, glinting in the sunlight, and it seemed to pulse with a strange energy. Within seconds, chaos erupted. People screamed, some ducked into buildings, and others pulled out their phones to record the impossible scene unfolding before their eyes. Alex stood frozen, unsure if he was dreaming or if this was real. The object, shaped like a massive flying saucer, glided silently over the city. It made no sound, only a low hum that vibrated through the ground. It moved slowly, as if measuring the space it was crossing, hovering with a strange purpose. Suddenly, there was a flash of bright light, blinding for just a moment. The massive spaceship began to descend, slowly but steadily, right over the city's central park. The air became thick with tension, as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath. Alex wasn't the only one stunned by the event. He watched as a few brave souls approached the park, their curiosity overpowering their fear. But as the ship touched down, something even more unsettling happened. A doorway opened in the center of the massive disc, and from within, a soft glow emanated. Illuminating the surrounding area, the door opened fully, revealing figures moving inside. They were tall, elegant, and strangely beautiful. The first one to step out was a woman, her figure tall and regal, wearing an intricately designed gown that shimmered in the sunlight. Her long, silver hair cascaded down her back, and her eyes were an intense shade of blue, almost glowing with an otherworldly light. She stepped onto the ground with a calm grace, and the people around her fell silent, as if entranced by her presence. Behind her, more figures emerged, other women, each with similar beauty and an air of mystery about them. They wore dresses that glittered like stars in the night sky, and their movements were fluid and almost ethereal. They were not like anything Alex had ever seen. Their features were both human and alien, a blend that was difficult to comprehend. Alex's heart raced. These were not ordinary visitors. There was something about their presence that made everything else seem insignificant, as if the world had suddenly shifted into a new reality. He could hear whispers from the crowd around him. "Are they ... aliens?" someone asked. "What do they want?" asked another. The woman at the front, who seemed to be the leader, raised her hand, signaling for the crowd to remain silent. Her voice, when it came, was soft yet powerful, as if it echoed within their minds. "Greetings, humans," she said, her voice almost musical. "We come in peace, not to harm, but to share with you the wonders of the universe." The crowd was stunned into silence. Was this really happening? Alex could hardly believe his ears. He had spent years studying the stars, but he never imagined that one day he would be standing in the presence of beings from another world. The woman continued, her tone calm and reassuring. "We have observed your world for a long time, have seen your potential, your curiosity, and your desire for knowledge. We wish to show you the beauty that lies beyond your planet," she said. But then something strange happened. The woman lowered her hand, and the crowd expected her to speak again. Instead, she took a step forward, and with a swift, fluid motion, she began to lift the layers of her gown, revealing an elaborate tattoo covering her body. The designs were complex, each one unique, with symbols that seemed to glow faintly. Gasps filled the air as people stared, unsure of what they were seeing. The tattoos were beautiful, mesmerizing even, but they were also strange, unfamiliar. Alex's mind raced. What did this mean? What kind of tradition was this? Why was she showing them this? It was a greeting away for the aliens to express themselves, to show their culture in a way that words could not convey. The woman smiled at the crowd, her eyes glowing with an intensity that left Alex breathless. The tattoos weren't just decorations, they were a symbol of something deeper, something ancient and powerful. As the woman continued to reveal more of her tattoos, the others followed suit, each unveiling their own unique designs. The crowd stood still, mesmerized by the beauty of the moment, but also deeply puzzled. Why were these beings who seemed so peaceful showing such an intimate part of their culture? Alex's heart pounded in his chest. The mystery was just beginning. The aliens had come, but their purpose was unclear. He had so many questions. What did their tattoos mean? Why were they showing this to the humans? What else did they have to share? But one thing was certain, this was no ordinary visit. Aliens had arrived, and the world would never be the same again. The moment the alien woman, Zoravina, lowered her gown, the air around her seemed to change. The once heavy silence felt even more palpable, as though the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for something monumental to happen. Alex stood among the crowd, unable to move. His mind was racing with 1,000 questions, but his body was frozen in awe as Zoravina stepped forward, her gown fluttering slightly as if the very air was alive around her. Alex found himself drawn to her. Gaze was intense and piercing, yet it didn't feel threatening. There was something calming in the way her eyes seemed to peer straight through him, as if she could read his very soul. It was unsettling, yet he couldn't look away. Human Zoravina spoke, her voice soft yet commanding. Come closer. Crowd stirred nervously. But Alex, despite his fear, couldn't resist. He walked forward slowly, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes on his back. His heart thumped in his chest as he approached her. This was no ordinary alien encounter. This was something far beyond what he had ever imagined. Zoravina extended her hand, not in greeting, but as if she was offering him something far more precious. He hesitated for a moment, then took it. Her skin was warm, unlike the coldness he had expected from an alien. It felt almost human soft, yet strong. She pulled him closer with surprising strength, guiding him toward the open doorway of the spaceship. The interior of the ship was nothing like Alex had imagined. He had thought it would be cold and mechanical, like the sterile rooms of research labs, but instead it was warm and inviting. The walls shimmered with an iridescent glow, constantly shifting in color, like a living organism. The air smelled faintly of flowers and something else, something that Alex couldn't quite place. This is where we begin, Zoravina said, leading him through the sleek, glowing corridors. The tattoos you saw are not just for show. They represent our history, our knowledge, our connection to the cosmos. They are our gift to those we trust. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. She was speaking as though he were already part of something much larger, something far beyond Earth. He had never believed in the possibility of such deep connections between civilizations. But here he was, walking beside a being from another world, being led into the heart of their ship. I don't understand, Alex said, his voice shaky. Why are you showing me this? What do you want from us? Zoravina's gaze softened for a brief moment. We do not wish to take anything from you, Alex. We wish to offer you something, a chance to become part of something greater. People are not ready for what we offer, but we believe you are. She stopped in front of a massive chamber, its walls alive with light. The room was vast, more like a hall than a chamber, with pillars that seemed to stretch endlessly into the ceiling. At the center of the room was a circular platform, shimmering with the same iridescence that lined the walls. This is where we choose, Zoravina said, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. Where we decide if the human race is ready to understand the truths of the universe. Alex's mind was spinning. He had come here to study the stars, to understand the unknown, but nothing in his research had prepared him for this. The weight of her words sank deep into his chest. They were offering something unimaginable. But why him? Why was he, an ordinary scientist, being chosen? You sure about this? Alex asked, his voice quiet, barely above a whisper. He wasn't sure if he was asking her or himself. Are we truly ready? Zoravina nodded, her eyes reflecting an ancient wisdom that made Alex feel like a child standing before a teacher. Your people have the potential, but they are not. Ready to embrace it? You, Alex, are different. You have the thirst for knowledge. The others only seek power. The truth of her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He had always been passionate about discovery, about understanding the world and the universe, but he had never seen things from their perspective. They weren't just offering knowledge, but a way to change the very nature of humanity. He felt a wave of fear wash over him, but it was quickly replaced with something else: excitement. A rush of curiosity, of wonder, and maybe even a hint of responsibility. The weight of the decision he was about to make was not lost on him. You want me to lead them? Alex asked, his voice hoarse. Zoravina smiled, a smile that seemed to carry the weight of the universe. Not lead them, Alex, but help them understand what they have yet to learn. You will be our guide to Earth, but you must choose: will you accept our offer and learn the truths we have to share? Or will you return and continue living a life of ignorance? The decision loomed before him, as vast as the stars outside. The choice was his: join them and discover the knowledge that could transform humanity, or return to the world he knew, where everything would stay the same. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on him. I don't know if I'm ready, he admitted. Zoravina's gaze softened, and she placed a hand on his shoulder. None of us are truly ready, but that's how we grow. The words settled in his mind. Alex knew that his life would never be the same. This encounter had only just begun. The real journey was about to start, and it would change everything. The room was still, but the air felt charged with an unseen energy. Zoravina stood before Alex, her eyes gleaming like twin stars, her expression unreadable. The glow from the walls danced around them, casting shifting shadows that made the ship feel more like a living organism than a mere vessel. Alex could feel his pulse quicken with every breath. It was as if the ship was alive and breathing with him. Zoravina turned, her gown flowing gracefully behind her as she walked toward the center of the chamber, where the light was brightest. Alex hesitated for a moment before following her, his curiosity slowly overpowering his unease. There was something about this alien world, something ancient, yet oddly familiar, that seemed to call out to him. Come, Zoravina beckoned, her voice gentle yet firm. It is time for you to see. Alex approached cautiously, unsure of what to expect. He had already witnessed the first shocking sight of the alien tattoos, but he had no idea how deep this custom went. Why had she revealed such an intimate part of her culture to him? What did it all mean? Zoravina reached a large circular console in the center of the room. It hummed to life as she placed her hand upon it, and the ship responded like a living creature. Lights flickered and soft. Melodic tones echoed through the walls. The space around them seemed to warp, bending and shifting, and Alex felt as though he was standing on the edge of some profound discovery. The anticipation in the air was thick, almost suffocating. I will show you, Zoravina said, her voice low but filled with certainty. This is our way of greeting and sharing. It is not just a custom, it is a truth, a gift from the stars themselves. Alex stepped closer, his eyes drawn to the central platform. He had been in awe of the tattoos before, but now, as Zoravina spoke of them with such reverence, he began to feel the weight of their significance. What was it that these markings held? What truth did they reveal about the aliens, and why had they chosen him to be the one to learn? Without another word, Zoravina reached for the edges of her gown and began to lift it again, this time more deliberately. As she revealed the full extent of her body's markings, Alex felt his breath catch. In his throat, each tattoo was more intricate than the last, covering her skin like a map of the universe itself, constellations, galaxies swirling nebulae, all intricately woven into the patterns. The tattoos are not just decorations, Zoravina explained, as if reading his thoughts. They are the history of our people, our connection to the cosmos, our understanding of the universe's deepest secrets. They are the record of our journeys, our discoveries, and our lessons. To show them is to offer a part of ourselves to trust you, to reveal the essence of who we are. Alex stood motionless, unable to speak.
The tattoos were like nothing
he had ever seen. They shimmered with an otherworldly light, changing in the soft glow of the chamber. They told stories in a language he couldn't understand, but somehow they felt familiar, as though they were calling to something deep within him. Zoravina turned to face him, her expression serene, almost peaceful. Your species has always been curious, Alex, but you do not yet understand the depths of that curiosity. You seek knowledge, yes, but you also fear it. You're afraid to know the full truth of the universe. Alex swallowed, the weight of her words pressing down on him. It was true. His entire life had been spent studying the stars, the mysteries of the cosmos. But now, standing here before her, he realized how little he truly understood. How could he had only scratched the surface of what was out there. Double quotes, you. You want me to see this truth? Alex asked, his voice trembling. But what if I'm not ready? What if the truth is too much for us? Zoravina's eyes softened, and she took a step closer to him. That is why we show you now. You have the thirst, the hunger, but you must choose whether you can bear the weight of the knowledge we offer. This is not a gift to be taken lightly. It is not about power. It is about understanding. She raised her arm and gestured toward the console, and the chamber came alive again. The walls shifting and expanding, revealing a series of glowing images. Alex's eyes widened as the images materialized before him. Strange symbols, alien landscapes, and scenes of distant worlds filled the room. These were not just pictures. They were memories, a glimpse into the past, into the lives of beings far older and wiser than humanity. Zoravina turned to him, her voice a soft whisper. This is what we have to offer. The knowledge of the universe, of life, death, and everything. In between. The connection between all things. We give you a choice, to accept what we offer, or to remain in ignorance. Alex's heart raced as the images swirled around him. He was overwhelmed, yet he couldn't look away. He had dreamed of this moment for years, of finding the answers to the questions that had haunted him since he was a child. But now that the answers were within reach, he was afraid to take the final step. But there was no going back. Zoravina stepped closer, her eyes locked onto his. Choose Alex. You are the one who must decide if humanity is ready for this truth. You must lead them, or let them remain in the dark. The weight of the decision pressed down on him. What was the right choice? What would this knowledge mean? For humanity? Was the world ready for it? As the images continued to swirl, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The journey ahead was one he could not turn away from. The aliens had revealed their custom, their truth, and now it was up to him to carry it forward. The air in the chamber grew thick with anticipation as the glowing images around Alex continued to shift, casting an otherworldly light across his face. Every flicker of color, every symbol that materialized in front of him seemed to pulse with a hidden meaning, like a cryptic message he was only beginning to understand. The walls hummed softly, vibrating with energy as if the ship itself was alive and listening to their conversation. Zoravina stood silently beside him. Her presence, calm yet commanding, her eyes glowing faintly, seemed to peer into Alex's soul, as if she could sense his inner turmoil. He was drowning in the flood of images, of memories from a civilization that had existed far longer than humanity could ever comprehend. The tattoos you saw? Zoravina spoke slowly, as if measuring each word, are more than just ink. Day. Are our connection to the universe, a record of everything we have learned, everything we have become? They are not just worn on the skin. They are embedded in our very being. Alex turned to her, his voice barely a whisper. Embedded in your being? How is that possible? What do you mean by that? Zoravina smiled softly, a faint glimmer of sadness in her eyes. We are not like your people, Alex. We do not learn in the same way. We do not read books or watch videos to gather knowledge. Instead, we connect with the universe in ways you cannot yet fathom. Our tattoos are living records, a form of symbiosis between our minds and the cosmos. They allow us to access the wisdom of the stars, the knowledge of all those who came before us. Alex's mind raced. You mean to say that these tattoos, they're alive? They can speak to you? Guide you? Zoravina nodded. In a way, yes. When we reach a certain level of understanding, the tattoos begin to change, to evolve. They grow with us, adapting to our experiences, our discoveries. They are like a living memory bank. Teach, one containing the history of our people, the wisdom of countless generations. As Alex absorbed her words, the images around him shifted once more. They weren't just abstract symbols now. They formed coherent Alien landscapes, strange cities suspended in the clouds, vast oceans teeming with life unlike anything he had seen. There were beings that resembled nothing human, creatures of light and shadow, existing in harmony. With the environment around them, Zoravina's voice pulled him from his reverie. These are just fragments, glimpses of what we have seen and learned, but this is only the beginning. The tattoos. They are not just a way of preserving knowledge, they are also a key to unlocking the deeper mysteries of the universe. Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. A key to what? To the cosmos itself, Zoravina replied, her gaze intense. To the forces that shape reality. There is much more out there, Alex. Much more than you could ever imagine. And we, the ones who carry this knowledge, are the gatekeepers. It is our responsibility to guide those who are ready to pass on the truth to those who seek it. Alex's mind buzzed with questions, but before he could ask another, the walls around them began to glow brighter, more intensely. The entire chambers seemed to come alive, vibrating with an energy that felt almost sacred. Zoravina stepped forward, her body glowing with the iridescent tattoos that adorned her. She extended her hand toward the center of the room, and a circle of light began to form beneath her feet. This is where it begins, she said, her voice filled with purpose. The truth I speak of, the wisdom of the universe, it can only be shared with those who are ready. Only those who understand the depth of our tradition can unlock what lies hidden. This is the heart of our power. The circle of light expanded, and Alex felt the ground beneath him shift, as if the very ship was altering its form. The air around him grew thicker, more intense. It was as if the ship was resonating with Zoravina's words, responding to the energy that pulsed. Between them, this is where you must decide, Alex, Zoravina continued, her gaze fixed on him. You have seen our customs, our history, you have felt the power of our tattoos, but now you must choose. Will you embrace this knowledge, this responsibility? Will you take the key and unlock the door to the universe? Alex's heart pounded. In his chest, the weight of her words hung heavy in the air. He had always dreamed of discovering the unknown, of understanding the mysteries of the cosmos, but now, standing before an alien civilization that had already unlocked those secrets, he felt the weight of the choice he was about to make. Zoravina's eyes softened, as if she knew the burden of the decision he was facing. You do not have to decide now. You must understand that this choice, this path, is not an easy one. Once you accept this knowledge, once you open the door, there is no turning back. You will be bound to the stars, bound to the knowledge that we have unlocked. Alex's mind swirled. The stakes were higher than he could have ever imagined. This wasn't just about discovering new knowledge. It was about joining an ancient tradition, a path that could change everything. The future of humanity was now in his hands, and the weight of that responsibility felt like a crushing force. But as he looked into Zoravina's eyes, he knew one thing for sure. He could never go back to his old life. The choice was clear, even if the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. As the circle of light continued to expand, Alex made his decision, stepped forward, toward Zoravina, toward the future that awaited him. The door to the universe was opening, and he was ready to walk through it. The decision had been made, yet Alex felt no peace. As he stepped forward toward Zoravina, the circle of light expanding around him, he thought he had understood what he was about to become part of. He'd always imagined that knowledge would be a gift, a treasure to unlock at will. But now, as he felt the pulse of the alien power reverberating through the chamber. He realized that knowledge was not just a gift, it was a responsibility, a burden. The moment he accepted the truth, there would be no turning back. He had crossed the threshold, one that had been set long before humanity had even begun to reach for the stars. This was not just an opportunity, it was a transformation. Zoravina stood before him, her glowing tattoos swirling with soft patterns that shifted like the cosmos itself. Her expression was serene, but Alex could see the weight of expectation in her eyes. She had made her choice long ago, and now she was asking him to make his. "Are you ready?" Zoravina asked, her voice cutting through the silence like a whisper in the dark. Alex didn't know how to respond. Was he ready? The idea of carrying the weight of the universe's secrets was both exhilarating and terrifying. It was as though the universe itself had been waiting for him to step forward, to be the one who would unlock the door. But there was something in his heart, a nagging doubt that kept him tethered to Earth. He wasn't ready to leave everything behind. He wasn't ready to abandon the world he had always known. He took a step back, uncertainty creeping into his chest. What if humanity isn't ready? He asked, his voice barely audible. What if I fail? What if we... aren't prepared for this knowledge? Zoravina's eyes softened, and she stepped closer to him, her presence grounding him like the calm in the center of a storm. "You are not alone in this, Alex," she said, her voice filled with a quiet confidence. "We will guide you, but it is not about the readiness of humanity. It is about your willingness to accept what is beyond. Your world, what is beyond your comprehension, must decide if you are ready to bear this burden." Her words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with meaning. Alex closed his eyes, feeling the weight of her gaze on him. The truth was, he didn't feel ready. He didn't feel like he could carry this knowledge, this responsibility on his own. His heart ached with the fear of failure. What if he couldn't protect this knowledge? What if he couldn't understand it fully? Or worse, what if humanity didn't understand it? He was about to voice these doubts when the ship suddenly trembled. The walls shuddered, and the ground beneath them rumbled, as if something deep within the ship had been disturbed. The air shifted, growing thick with tension. Zoravina's eyes darted to the far corner of the room, where a deep, pulsing light began to glow, a red light that was not from their usual calm, blue hue. "What's happening?" Alex asked, a rush of panic flooding through him. Zoravina's expression darkened, and she turned to face the light, her posture tense. "The others," she muttered under her breath, her eyes narrowing. "They've sensed your hesitation." The chamber was suddenly filled with a hum louder than before, vibrating through the air and into Alex's bones. It was not just a sound. It was a feeling, one that made his skin crawl and his pulse race. The light in the corner of the room began to shift, forming into shapes, figures. But these were not the same peaceful, serene beings who had greeted him earlier. These were different. Their eyes burned with an intensity Alex had never seen, and their presence was ominous, like a storm waiting to break. "Who are they?" Alex asked, taking a cautious step back. "They are the guardians of the knowledge," Zoravina explained, her voice now hard and resolute. "They are the ones who determine if you are truly worthy of what we offer. They have seen your fear, and they will test you." Before Alex could process her words, the figures stepped forward, emerging from the pulsing red light like shadows. Their forms were more ethereal than physical, their movements swift and deliberate. As they approached, the air grew colder, and Alex could feel his heart rate spike. They were not here to welcome him, they were here to judge him. Zoravina stepped in front of him, her tattoos flickering with the energy of the approaching figures. "Do not fear, Alex," she said, her voice unwavering despite the danger.
Practice.
"Is the trial a test of your courage and your mind? It is not enough to accept the knowledge. You must prove that you are capable of handling it." Alex's breath caught in his throat. A test. What did they mean by that? His hands began to tremble, and a sense of dread washed over him. How could he possibly pass a test that he didn't even understand? One of the figures, taller than the others, extended its hand toward him, and Alex felt an overwhelming pressure fill the room. It was as if the very air was closing in on him. He could barely breathe, and for a moment he thought he might collapse under the weight of it all. But Zoravina's presence remained steady, grounding him as the figure's hand hovered just inches from his chest. "This is your moment, Alex," she said softly. "This is the choice you must make. Will you face your fear? Will you prove that you are ready to bear the truth of the universe?" The figure's hand hovered closer, and Alex's mind raced. His fear screamed in his mind, but something else, something deep within him, pushed him forward. This was his chance. This was his destiny. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and stepped forward, extending his hand toward the figure, ready to face whatever tests they had in store. Whatever the outcome, he knew one thing for sure: his life would never be the same again. The moment Alex's hand made contact with the Guardian's outstretched arm, an overwhelming surge of energy coursed through him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. No shock, no pain, just a deep, electrifying hum that seemed to echo through every fiber of his being. His vision blurred, and for a moment, he was no longer in the chamber. Instead, he was floating in a vast expanse of darkness. The universe unfolded before him, galaxies swirling in intricate patterns, stars bursting to life in brilliant explosions of color. He saw planets, hundreds, thousands of them, each one teeming with life, each one with its own story, its own mysteries. And with each world, a new wave of understanding washed over him. He wasn't just seeing the stars, he was seeing through them. He could feel their energy, their life force, as if they were all connected, bound together in some cosmic dance. He saw civilizations rise and fall, ancient beings evolve, their wisdom accumulating across eons. He saw humanity's future, its triumphs, its failures, its potential, and, in that moment, he realized just how insignificant, yet powerful, his own world truly was. The vision vanished as quickly as it had come, and Alex gasped, his body trembling. He was back in the chamber, but everything felt different now. The air was thick with a new understanding. He had seen the universe through the eyes of the Guardians, and the weight of what he had learned threatened to crush him. Zoravina stood before him, her face unreadable. The Guardians, who had once been shadowy figures, were now fully visible, translucent, their bodies glowing with a faint, ethereal light. They were not physical beings as Alex had initially assumed. They were energy, consciousness, pure thought beings who had transcended physical form, existing as conduits for the knowledge of the universe. "Now you know," Zoravina said, her voice calm yet heavy with meaning. "The truth of what we offer is not merely knowledge, it is power. The power to see beyond what your eyes can understand, to comprehend the vastness of the cosmos in a single thought. But that power comes at a cost." Alex staggered back, his mind reeling from the flood of visions he had just experienced. "What is the cost?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. Zoravina stepped forward, her eyes filled with an ancient sorrow. "It is the cost of balance. The knowledge we carry is not meant to be wielded lightly. It must be passed down carefully, only to those who can bear the responsibility of understanding it. And even then, there are those who fail. There are those who become consumed by the truth, who lose themselves in the vastness of it all." Alex felt his chest tighten. ... This is a test, not just of courage, but of restraint. "Precisely," Zoravina replied. "There is more. The universe is not just a collection of stars and planets. It is alive, Alex. It is a system of interconnected forces where every action ripples across time and space. The knowledge we share with you, if you choose to accept, it could change the course of your people's future. But it could also destroy them. Humanity is not ready for such knowledge. Not yet." Alex's heart pounded in his chest as the enormity of Zoravina's words sank in. He had always believed that knowledge was the key to progress, the path to a brighter future. But now, he saw the other side of that coin. What if humanity wasn't ready for the truth? What if they misused it, distorted it, or worse, destroyed themselves in the pursuit of power? "But you believe I can make them ready," Alex said, his voice trembling with a mixture of awe and fear. Zoravina's gaze softened. "We believe. You have the potential, Alex. You are not like the others. You see the stars not just as dots in the sky, but as part of a greater whole. You understand the weight of what we offer. But there is more to this decision than you realize. The guardians moved closer, their glowing forms shifting with fluid grace. One of them, the tallest, the one who had first extended its hand to Alex, spoke. Its voice was a chorus of harmonious tones, resonating in Alex's mind rather than his ears. You are not the first to be chosen, Alex, it said. Others before you have come to us seeking the same knowledge, the same power. But they were not ready. They failed. We gave them the truth, but they could not bear it. They succumbed to their fears, their desires for control, and in doing so, they lost themselves. The figure's voice echoed through Alex's mind, and images of past failures, aliens who had tried and failed, civilizations that had risen only to fall flickered across his vision. He could feel the weight of their loss, their tragedy. They had once been like him, full of promise, full of curiosity, but they had fallen, just as humanity might. We gave them the choice, the Guardian continued, and they chose unwisely. They sought power, not understanding. They sought to dominate the knowledge, not to share it, and they paid the price. Zoravina looked at Alex with a steady, unblinking gaze. You must decide if you are ready, Alex, if you can carry the weight of this knowledge, and if you can protect humanity from itself. We will not give you this knowledge lightly. If you accept, you will be bound to it forever. Alex's mind swirled, overwhelmed by the choice before him. He had come seeking answers, seeking the unknown, but he had never anticipated the enormity of what lay ahead. He now understood that knowledge, true knowledge, was not just a tool. It was a force, a power that could shape the future for better or worse. And in his hands, it could mean the salvation or destruction of his world. Zoravina's voice cut through his thoughts, gentle yet firm. The choice is yours, Alex, but remember, once you accept, there is no turning back. The truth will consume you, just as it has consumed others. Are you ready? The weight of her question hung in the air like a heavy, suffocating cloud. Alex stood there, unsure of his answer, but he knew one thing for certain: his life would never be the same again. The room was silent, save for the quiet hum of the ship that now seemed to pulse with a rhythm of its own, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Alex stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by the glowing figures of the Guardians. And Zoravina, the weight of the decision pressed down on him like an unrelenting storm, and the air felt thick with expectation. Everything he had seen, everything he had learned, had led to this moment. But now that he stood on the threshold of the unknown, he realized how little he truly understood. Zoravina's eyes locked with his, her gaze steady and unyielding. The choice, Alex, she said softly, her voice carrying a weight that seemed to echo through the very fabric of his thoughts. What will you do with the knowledge we offer? Will you accept it and risk the future of your people, or will you turn away from the truth and let the universe continue its silent dance, untouched by human hands? Alex's heart raced as he grappled with the enormity of the choice before him. He had seen the cosmic dance, felt the pulse of the universe in his veins, and understood how fragile the balance was. The knowledge once unlocked would change everything. Humanity was on the brink of a new era, a new understanding of existence, but at what cost? He thought of Earth, the people, the cultures, the struggles. He thought of his own life, the simple joys and the quiet moments that made it worth living. What would it mean to give that all up, to trade his world for something grander, more dangerous? Could he bear the weight of the truth? Could humanity, the power of this knowledge, corrupt them, or would they rise to the challenge? Zoravina stepped closer, her presence calming yet commanding. You fear the unknown, Alex. But what is the future without change? What is progress without risk? Her words cut through his turmoil like a blade of clarity. You have felt the truth of what we offer. You have seen what could be, but now you must decide if you can protect it. If you can guide your people toward a future that is not bound by fear or power. The Guardians, once ethereal shadows, now stood in full form. Their faces impassive, but their eyes filled with ancient wisdom. One of them, the tallest and most imposing, spoke again, its voice a resonant hum in the depths of Alex's mind. "Are not alone, Alex. The knowledge you carry will not be yours alone. It will be shared, passed on to others who are worthy, who can carry the weight. But you must lead them, show them the way." A vision flashed before his eyes, a future both beautiful and terrifying. He saw a world where humanity had embraced the knowledge of the stars, where they had unlocked the secrets of the universe and used them to build a new society. He saw towering cities of light, humans traveling among the stars and civilizations, united in peace. But he also saw the darker side: greed, corruption, power struggles, the very forces that had destroyed countless others before them. He saw humanity's potential, but also its fragility. The choice was clear now. He could lead them, guide humanity to a future where the knowledge of the cosmos was used to heal and to unite. Or he could step back, walk away from it all, and let humanity continue along its current path. Unaware of the power that lay just beyond their reach, Zoravina's voice broke through the vision, her words a final plea. "This is your moment, Alex. You are the one who must choose. The future of your world lies in your hands. What will you do with the truth?" Alex closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. It always sought answers. It always believed in the potential of humanity to rise above its limitations. But now he understood that true progress was not just about knowledge. It was about wisdom, restraint, and the courage to face the unknown without losing oneself. He opened his eyes, meeting Zoravina's gaze with newfound clarity. "I accept," he said, his voice steady and resolute.
I'll carry the knowledge.
"Will guide humanity, but I will ensure that they are ready for it. I won't let them fall like those before us. Teach them how to bear the weight of this truth." The room seemed to breathe a collective sigh, the air clearing as if a great weight had been lifted. The guardians stepped back, their forms shifting and glowing brighter, as if acknowledging the gravity of his decision. Zoravina's eyes softened, and for the first time, she smiled, a smile filled with both pride and sadness. "You have made the right choice, Alex," she said. "The path ahead will not be easy, but it is the only path that leads to true understanding. You will carry the knowledge, and with it the responsibility to protect and share it. You are the first to step into the light of the universe, but you will not be the last." As Zoravina spoke, the light in the chamber grew brighter, and the walls seemed to dissolve, revealing the vast expanse of the cosmos beyond. Stars glittered in the infinite blackness, stretching out into eternity. Alex could feel the weight of the universe pressing down on him, but for the first time, he didn't feel overwhelmed. He felt ready. The truth had been revealed to him, and now it was his turn to pass it on. The guardian stepped forward once more, their glowing forms surrounding him, and in that moment, Alex felt a surge of energy pure, untainted, and full of promise. The knowledge of the stars flowed into him, not as a burden, but as a gift he would carry with pride. He was not just a man anymore. It was a bridge between humanity and the cosmos. The future had begun, and Alex knew that. It was only the beginning.